Taryn, a very tough day of testimony. In fact, between this day and yesterday, this was by far the toughest day, and a day where it really should have been focusing on the defense and what the shooter of Oxford, could he get a term of years as opposed to life in prison? Now, one note before we start, we're not going to name the shooter's name. We'll talk about the Oxford shooter, the convicted murderer, because he did plead guilty to murder and terrorism. That was at the request of both the prosecutor as well as the victims, and because it was so grueling testimony today from the victims, we're going to honor that request. Now, the defense basically put up a defense basically saying two things: that the shooter has the ability to be rehabilitated, and that a 15-year-old at the time of the shooting, his brain was not fully developed. Expert witnesses testified to that. However, on cross-examination and earlier testimony, the prosecutor said, wait a minute, Judge, you can't just think about rehabilitation here. You've got to take a look at the seriousness of the crime. And this crime was serious based on what the victims were talking about. Take a look at this testimony.
I heard one single shot right outside the bathroom, extremely loud.
Okay. And what did you think?
I don't know I didn't know what to think of it. Just scared.
And the shooter tells you to do what?
Kind of signals me to go over by his body.
And what did you do?
When he moved the gun away from his side, kind of, I ran behind his back and out the door.
Okay. Why did you do that?
Because I think when I saw his body, I realized that if I stayed, I was going to die.
What did you do when you dropped down?
I just prayed, and I covered my head because I didn't know if those were my last moments.
And for the first time, the Oxford High School shooter showed some emotion when the assistant principal and former teacher took the stand to describe how she tried to help a victim.
And then when they took him away from me, I was telling him to keep giving him breaths. He needs air. I could taste his blood. There was so much blood. It was all over me.
But it was the defendant's day to point out that his teenage brain was not fully developed enough to understand and stop the attack.
Given that adolescents in general are already compromised with respect to their prefrontal cortical development, this then makes it further difficult. It is using resources that would be so when embarked on a problematic, impetuous, impulsive, otherwise ill-suited plan, a lot of that prefrontal resource is being used to carry out the plan.
Again, a very medical definition from a doctor, a professor that's talking about the brain not being fully developed. But honestly, though, in court today, it was very emotional. And you saw the victims that were in the courtroom, just about everybody, including a lot of the reporters with Kleenexes and just shaking off the testimony. For the first time, we actually heard about victims, and we're not going to mention the student victims that actually tried to save some of the people that were killed. Just an emotional day. Now the judge said we have to come back on Tuesday. We're not done yet. The defense has one more witness trying to make a case that the shooter of Oxford should not spend the rest of his life in prison. That's what the prosecutor wants, but we'll be back here on Tuesday as well. I'm live out in front of the courthouse. Taryn, I'll send it back to you.
Charlie, so tough. It's almost like a mini trial. But question here, if the judge decides the shooter should be sentenced to life with the possibility of parole, how many years would the teen have to spend behind bars before parole would even be considered? Do we know?
If it's life in prison without parole, that's one option. He'll never get out. If it is a term of years, though, the sentence would be 25 to 40 years. He can make any range up to that point, 25, 30, 35, up to 40, and the maximum would be 60 years. So the minimum sentence that this shooter could get would be 25 years mandatory. Then he'd be eligible for parole, but in no case would he serve more than 60 years. That's what the defendant wants in this case. Prosecutor says, it's life in prison based on the severity of the crime. And you saw the emotion and the heinousness, I guess. I don't know if that's a good word to describe it, of this crime.
Well, I'm sure there's many people who feel like life forever would not be enough. So we'll see what the judge decides. Charlie, thank you for that report.